They said lion doesn't know that he's caged until he's let out. I got a taste of freedom. Now I just can't go back into the cage.
There was only one name that mattered: Bumpy Johnson.
April 12th, 1962, 2:47 in the afternoon. Marcus Thompson quit screaming 10 minutes ago. Now, it was just a wet gurgle, a sound uglier than the noise of pain. James Cooper held up the cut tongue. It was dripping heavy on the floor as he looked at Bumpy Johnson. "Where you want me to put it, boss?" Bumpy didn't even blink. He pointed a finger at Thompson's desk, the same spot Marcus had warmed a chair at for 7 long years. The same desk where he sold his brothers for 50 grand. Right there, dead center. Put it where he's got to stare at it for the next 6 hours. Cooper laid the meat on the wood. It looked wrong sitting there. A piece of a man, dark red and ugly against the clean desk. Then he took the nail and drove it home. Metal punched through meat and timber. The sound cracked through that small office like a gunshot. Thompson's eyes popped wide open. Through the pain, through the shock, the message landed clear as day. That was his tongue. The same muscle that spilled secrets to the Lucchese family was now nailed down tight to his workspace. And Bumpy Johnson was making him watch the show. 6 hours, Marcus, Bumpy said, his voice low and cold. 6 hours staring at the price of your talk. Then you tell me if 50 grand was worth the cost of admission. Rewind 5 days. April 7th, 11 in the morning. Illinois Gordon walked into Bumpy's office carrying news that froze the air in the room. "We got a problem, boss. A bad one." Bumpy just lifted his eyes from the morning paper. Years running, Harlem taught him one thing. Illinois didn't say bad unless the sky was falling. Talk. 3 trucks hit in 4 days. Thursday's Bronx collection, 7,200, gone. Saturday's loans from Brooklyn, 18 grand, vanished. Monday's club money from Queens, 47 large. Total hit is $73,000. Bumpy's face didn't move an inch, but his fingers stopped turning the page. 73 grand is a headache, but you said bad. Cash is just paper. What's the real bleed? Illinois leaned in close. Boss. They had the blueprint. Exact routes. Exact times. They knew every corner we turned and every light we hit. They knew where the muscle was weak. This wasn't luck. This wasn't some punk guessing right. Someone inside is selling our business to the wolves. The room went dead quiet. In Bumpy's world, stealing cash was a sin you could fix. You can make money back, but selling secrets? That was a rot. That put a target on every man's back. How many people know the full map? Bumpy asked the question. 8 men see the full schedule. Then we got 8 names on the list. Start cutting them down. For 3 days, Illinois Gordon shook down the logistics crew. 7 came up clean with solid stories and empty pockets. Number 8 was Marcus Thompson, a guy who'd been eating at Bumpy's table for 7 years. Skinny, sharp face, wired tight, but he did the job. He was the traffic cop. He drew the lines, set the paths, and placed the muscle. He was a made man in Bumpy's books because he never slipped up. Until now. April 10th rolled around. Illinois pulled Thompson in. Marcus thought it was just business as usual. "Marcus, walk me through the run to the Bronx last Thursday." Who knew the road? Thompson's hands had a little shake to them. Just the usual crew. The driver, the 2 heavies, me, you, and the boss. And you didn't talk shop with anyone outside the family? No, never. Why? What's going on? Illinois slid a piece of paper across the table. A bank statement. It was his girl's account. 3 hits in March. 15 large, 12 large, 10 large. 37 grand that didn't come from his paycheck. Where'd the cash come from, Marcus? All the color drained out of Thompson's face. I've been doing some side hustles. Consulting. Consulting for who? Just some legit businesses. Logistics stuff. Nothing to do with the family. Illinois leaned back in his chair. Marcus, I've known you 7 years. I put my faith in you. So, I'm giving you one shot. Give it to me straight. Who bought our roots? Tears welled up in Thompson's eyes. I didn't. I wouldn't do that. We got a rat inside the Lucchese crew. Says they paid a guy who looks just like you. 50 grand for Harlem's secrets. We found 37 in your girl's name. The other 13? You probably blew that cash already. So I'm asking one more time. Who came to you, and what did you sell? Thompson cracked. Guilt and terror spilled out on the table. The Lucchese boys got to him in late February. They knew he was in the hole. 23 grand to the bookies. They knew he was drowning. They put 50 grand on the table for the maps, just schedules, times, muscle details. Nobody gets hurt, they said. Just grabbing some cash, they told him. Thompson talked himself into believing it wasn't a knife in the back. He wasn't naming names. He wasn't giving up the safe houses. Just the roads. Just the logistics. He told himself nobody bleeds for this. The boss could take the hit, and his little girl needed braces. His boy was heading to college. 50 grand was life-changing money. So he shook the devil's hand, sat down with the Lucchese middlemen 3 times in March, gave up the maps for 6 trucks, got paid in 2 drops, 30 large up front, 20 more after the first truck got hit. He planned to walk away after 6 jobs. Just take the cash, clear the books. He tried to plead for his family, to crawl back into the fold. But in this life, there are no second chances. You break the code of silence once, you don't ever get to sit at the table again. Bumpy Johnson had schooled plenty of men on that hard truth over the years. And Marcus Thompson? He was about to get the most brutal education of them all. April 11th. Bumpy summoned the inner circle. Illinois Gordon, James Cooper, and 3 hard hitters sat down for a serious talk. Marcus Thompson sold us out to Lucchese. 6 transport routes for a measly 50 grand. 3 hits already cost us 73 large. And the other 3? They're sitting ducks. That means Lucchese is lining up 3 more hijackings within the fortnight. Sure, we could just switch up the routes. Someone piped up. Scrap the shipments. Bumpy didn't even blink. That fixes the symptom, not the rot. The disease here is betrayal. We just shift routes and walk away? What kind of signal is that? That being a rat just causes a little paperwork inconvenience? That selling out your own blood has no price tag if you only do it a couple of times. The room went cold as ice. No, Marcus Thompson is going to be an example. A lesson so clear, so ugly, so etched in stone, that nobody in this crew will ever dream of crossing us again. Illinois asked, "You gonna clip him?" "No, I'm gonna make him pray for death." Bumpy's eyes shifted to James Cooper, ex-medic before he turned to the life. The man still had the hands of a surgeon and the cold heart of a gangster. "James, you still got your kit?" "Always." "Good. Tomorrow, April 12th, we pay a visit to Thompson's office. We're gonna cut out the part of him that turned rat. His tongue, the tongue that wagged to the Lucchese crew, the tongue that signed our death warrant, the tongue that spilled the secrets costing us blood and coin. That piece of meat is getting surgically excised. And then, we nail it to his desk. The same desk he's warmed for 7 years while we fed him. That tongue stays there. Forever. Every man in this outfit walks into that office and sees the price of crossing the family. Silence hung heavy in the air. Then Illinois spoke, stepping lightly. "Boss, that's gonna turn stomachs. People are gonna get rattled." "Good. I want them rattled. I want them shaking so bad they never forget the cost of being a rat. Marcus Thompson isn't dying today. He's gonna live a long, miserable life. Choking on his food, struggling to spit out a word, knowing his own tongue is pinned to a piece of wood, right here in Harlem. A living monument to his sin, beats a shallow grave any day. April 12th, 2:30 in the afternoon. They dragged Thompson to his office on 125th Street, Bumpy's turf. The rat could smell the doom in the air, but he didn't know the shape of it. Bumpy sat like a judge across the desk. James Cooper stood by with his black bag. 2 soldiers pinned Thompson to the chair. Marcus, you know why we're having this sit-down. Thompson was already sobbing. Please, boss. I'm sorry. I'll make it right. I'll work for nothing. Just don't touch my family. Don't touch me. Your family is safe. You're the only rat in the room. And you ain't paying back a dime. We took the 50 large from your accounts, and it don't even cover the bleed. What you're gonna do is serve as a monument. Bumpy's voice was dead calm, like the grave. Zero emotion. You sat in this chair for 7 years. We filled your pockets, watched your back, trusted you with secrets that bleed. And you sold us out to the Lucchese crew for 50 grand. Your tongue spoke the words. Your tongue sealed the deal. That tongue set up 3 hijackings. That tongue made peace with our enemies. That tongue belongs to me now. Thompson's eyes bulged out of his head. What? What are you doing? James is gonna perform a little surgery. Then we nail it to this desk, right under your nose. You sit here for 6 hours, tied down, staring at it, thinking about the price of business. 6 p.m., you walk. We'll patch you up so you don't bleed out. You're done in this town. You'll never talk right again. And this office? It stays a shrine, with your tongue nailed to the wood as long as my name is on the deed. My whole crew is gonna come see what it costs to cross me. Thompson started wailing. Please, God, no. I got kids. It was a mistake, please. You made a choice. Bumpy cut him off cold. You chose 50 grand over the code. You chose your gambling debts over your brothers. You chose the Lucchese family over us. Now, you live with it. The next 17 minutes were pure, calculated hell. James Cooper prepped the needle, just enough juice to keep him from checking out, but not enough to kill the pain. The tongue had to come out while he was awake, eyes open, feeling every slice. He had to know exactly why this was happening. His screams tore through the walls. Cooper worked like a machine, severed the muscle at the root, burned the wound shut so the rat wouldn't die too easy. Thompson would live, but he'd never speak another word. Job done. Cooper held up the bloody trophy. Where to, boss? Bumpy pointed a finger. Dead center. Make sure he can see it. The hammer came down. The heavy thud made the hard men flinch. Everyone but Bumpy. There it sat. A grotesque piece of meat you couldn't ignore. A part of Marcus Thompson, pinned to the scene of the crime. Bumpy stood up, buttoning his jacket. 6 hours, Marcus. 6 hours to weigh 50 grand against this living hell, to decide if clearing your gambling markers was worth erasing your existence, to ask yourself if crossing the boss was ever a smart play. They left Thompson, strapped to his seat, eyes locked on the piece of himself he'd lost. For 6 long hours, he sat in a silent scream, staring at the bloody receipt of his treachery. At 6 sharp, just like the deal stated, they cut him loose. They hauled him to a back-alley surgeon, the kind who stitches bad men and keeps his mouth shut. The prognosis was simple. Thompson would live, but his voice was gone forever. Every meal, every drink, every word would be a war for the rest of his days. But he would keep breathing, a walking, broken billboard advertising the price of crossing Bumpy Johnson. For the next 2 weeks, attendance at Thompson's office was mandatory for every soldier in the crew. They had to step inside, look at that piece of meat spiked to the mahogany, and get the message. Illinois Gordon broke it down for them, cold and simple. Marcus Thompson warmed this chair for 7 years. We treated him like a brother. He sold our roots to the Lucchese family for 50 large. That move cost us 73 grand and put a target on every back in this room. His tongue did the talking. Now that tongue is part of the furniture. This is the retirement plan for rats. Keep this image in your head the next time you think about selling secrets. The boys were sickened, sure, but that sickness turned into ironclad loyalty, because now every man knew, deep in his gut, exactly what the bill for treason looked like. The tale hit the New York streets like a shotgun blast. By April 15th, every wise guy from Boston to Baltimore knew the score. Bumpy Johnson's logistics man sold out to the Lucchese crew. 5 days later, he was caught, and his tongue was harvested and hammered into his own desk as a permanent fixture. The visual was so grim, so twisted, so burned into the mind, that it became the bedtime story for anyone thinking about breaking the code. The Lucchese outfit, realizing they'd stepped on a landmine, paid the tax, $150,000. More than double the damage they caused, and 3 times the bribe they gave Thompson. They also swore to never poach from Bumpy's ranks again. They realized that while the intel was valuable, the price of getting caught was way too steep for business. Marcus Thompson dragged on for another 14 years. 14 years of choking on every meal, 14 years of slurring through the silence. 14 years knowing a piece of his head was rotting on a desk, back in Harlem, a tourist attraction for loyalty. He checked out in 1976 at 55, a broken shell. But that tongue, it held its ground until 1975, when a civilian bought the building and finally scrapped the furniture. 13 years. 13 years of grim exhibition. 13 years of every soldier in the outfit staring at the price tag of selling out the family. From April 1962 until the boss passed in 1968, the number of rats in the camp was 0, not 1. That dried piece of meat on the desk was a deterrent so heavy that turning coat wasn't even an option. That was the genius of Bumpy Johnson. He knew the fear of a bullet fades, but the terror of living as a mutilated exhibit, a walking ghost? That fear is eternal. Marcus Thompson bet it all on 50 grand. He lost that hand in the worst way a man can, but the whole of Harlem got the education he paid for. Loyalty isn't a suggestion. Trust isn't merchandise, and the debt of betrayal hangs around longer than the man who owes it. Now, if this tale taught you the true cost of doing business, smash that subscribe button. Leave a word below. Was 13 years of displaying the evidence justified? How would you have handled the rat? And hit the bell, because next week we're breaking down how Bumpy Johnson strolled into a precinct with nothing but his wits and walked out owning 3 dirty badges. You don't want to sleep on that one. Just remember, in Bumpy's Harlem, respect is a currency you earn, and loyalty, that's not a request, it's a requirement.